Making sense of politics and the cultural divide from a different perspective. This is America on the Edge with C.L. Bryant on News Radio 710 Keel.
Welcome to America on the Edge with C.L. Bryant. I am Stephen Parr, live in the studio on 710 Keel, and my partner is up in Washington, D.C., live right now with us at the Daughters of the American Revolution Constitution Hall. CL, you have a big night tonight. You're going to be speaking in less than an hour at this Celebrate America revival.
Absolutely, Stephen, and you know I am very excited about it here with last night's guest, Pastor Rodney Howard Brown, and we are here tonight. The crowd is here. Leland, the Christian rock group, is here, and they're rocking the house right now, and sitting beside me is somebody that I truly admire, and that is my good friend, Bishop E.W. Jackson. And Stephen, I want you to give our folks a good introduction of my friend, and we'll bring him on.
That's right. E.W. Jackson is a Marine. Again, every former Marine will tell you they're still a Marine, but was in the Marine Corps from 1970 1973. Went to the University of Massachusetts in Boston, and then went to Harvard Law School. Earned a law degree there, practiced in Boston for 15 years, also studied divinity at the Harvard Divinity School. So a little bit of jurisprudence and a little bit of God mixed in, all at the same location. And now in Virginia, recently ran for lieutenant governor, got the Republican nomination for lieutenant governor of Virginia, and did not win that election, but still ran a campaign that got attention, ran a campaign that certainly was talked about, and introduced people to who E.W. Jackson is. This is CL, real quick, before we get to that, a couple of things I want to get to just real quick here. We are going to be talking about immigration. There's breaking news about Rick Perry and Barack Obama meeting next week. We are also going to be talking about Mitt Romney. Should he run for president? That's actually our question of the day, our America on the Edge question of the day, and you can tweet us your answer to that at The American Edge, on Twitter. Should Mitt Romney run for president? Again, is 3 times a charm. Let us know your thoughts on that. Right now, back to E.W. Jackson, and CL, you guys are both speaking tonight and ready to go.
Yes, in fact, I need to get him primed and going because he's got to be on stage here in about 10 minutes. Folks, I'm going to ask my friend E.W. Jackson, Pastor, tell us, what is your main focus at this point in our American history?
Thank you so much, CL. It's an honor to be on with you and your partner. Thank you for having me. Well, first and foremost, our country is in a crisis. We are in an emergency. And I believe that it is beyond human ability to get us out of the circumstances that we're in. And we've got to come back. You know, the Bible says, if the foundations be destroyed, what shall the righteous do? I think we got to come back to foundations. We got to come back to our Constitution, come back to our Declaration of Independence, come back to the principles that the Founding Fathers believed in, and we got to come back to the God, the Creator that they said gave us our rights and our freedom, and that's what I'm all about, trying to bring that principle back to our country, that we are a constitutional republic based upon rights and freedoms that are endowed to us by our Creator, not by government.
Awesome. And that's exactly why we're here. Folks, you can tell that he is a firebrand, and that's what's necessary in our country today, is men of courage who will stand up against the power. And this is why America is on the edge, because of weak-willed leaders. And I'm glad to share this fight with people like Bishop Jackson and Pastor Rodney, and we need to drive out any liver-lytic, weak-spined politicians out from among us. And Bishop, this is the first step. Tell us about STAND. What is that?
Well, STAND is an acronym for staying true to America's national destiny. We believe that this is not an accident in history, that this country didn't just sort of pop up out of nowhere. We believe that America is a providential nation. Our founding fathers believed that we have a destiny in this world, not only to serve our own people, but to be a beacon light of hope for the world. And that means, again, coming back to those foundational principles. Where do rights, where does freedom come from? If it comes from government, that is a very leaky vessel. If it comes from individuals voting it for us, well, they could change their vote and vote it away from us. But no, it's inherent in who we are as human beings. So coming back to that, and the freedom to choose how your child and where your child is educated, individual liberty, personal responsibility, entrepreneurship, and all working together, as we say in the Pledge of Allegiance, as one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You know, the stuff that our founding fathers built this country on works. We just have to work it.
Absolutely. CL, I have a question here real quick. E.W. Jackson, when you were running for lieutenant governor, some of the things that you had said in your past as a minister, as a bishop, as in the pulpit, was then used against you in your campaign for governor, for lieutenant governor. What did you learn from that about talking to different audiences at different times, or do you think that there's really any lesson there for future candidates to learn?
Oh, there's a big lesson. First of all, the lesson is that there is a growing anti-Christian persecution in the land, a hostility against Bible-believing Christians. And that's something that we have to overcome, because they caricature you, they twist and turn your statements, and they try to turn you into a hater, a bigot. And yes, they did that to me. So, I mean, I learned that you better be prepared for that and be able to answer that and pivot and talk about the issues that you know are going to unite all voters. So it was vicious, but if I ever run again, I can assure you I will be ready for it.
He is ready for it, and I'm encouraging him to go ahead and run again. This time, I will be there to help him pull that across the line. Stephen, how much, I'm not able to see a clock, how much time do we still have with Bishop Jackson?
We have about 4 minutes and 30 seconds still left to talk here. I did have another question. Bishop Jackson, you have a similar message that CL had in his movie Runaway Slave, which was to encourage African-American voters to leave the Democratic Party and move to the Republican Party. How well do you think that message was received in Virginia?
Well, I think in some circles it was received very well. But here again, we have to understand something. The first black president of the United States has a certain emotional hold on the black community, which has nothing to do with his policies, which, by the way, have been disastrous for the black community. They've done absolutely nothing for the black community. In fact, I was thinking about this today. If he had just made up his mind that if nothing else, he would be campaigning all across these poor black communities across the country, telling these young people, pull your pants up, get an education, take care of your children, find a job, you can make it in this country, I'll support you, I'll help you, but the government's not going to take care of you or promise you some sort of guaranteed income. You got to go out there and do it for yourself. I think he could have transformed the thinking in the community, but instead he's busy going to $32,000 plate fundraisers and playing golf golf and doing all these other things. And it's really a missed opportunity, and it's pretty sad. But people like CL and I are taking that message of hope into the black community and saying, you don't have to be dependent upon the government. You've got gifts and talents and abilities, and you ought to put them to work in the marketplace, and you will find that opportunities will present themselves to you.
Folks, that is the true message of hope and change. I don't care what anyone else says. Taking personal responsibility the same way all of our ancestors did, whether they came here on the Mayflower or whether they chose to be runaway slaves, they took the personal responsibility for their own lives. It worked then, it will work now, Stephen.
CL, and again, it's the same message that you were saying in your movie. Bishop Jackson, just one other question. Do you have any opinions on the issue that's going on the border? We're going to be talking about that in the next segment, but do you have any belief about what should be happening on the border, what's going wrong down there, and this mass immigration of undocumented, unescorted minors?
Absolutely. A lot of compassion for those children who apparently are being used by traffickers and by who knows who, being raped and probably sometimes murdered, and they wind up at our border. But here's the ultimate thing that the United States must do. We must preserve and protect the sovereignty of our country, and that means securing our border. And we just don't have any choice. Once we've done that, we can deal with these other issues that we're presented with in terms of all the illegal immigration that's happened, but we can't do that because there's no trust that the administration will actually secure the border, and we won't have millions more that will come over in the next wave. So, yeah, we got to secure the border first.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bishop. I know they're waiting for you out on stage. And, folks, that was Bishop E.W. Jackson. And, Bishop, I'll see you out there in about 30 minutes. God bless you and God keep you. Folks, this is America on the Edge. This is CL Bryant coming to you live from the Constitution Hall, Daughters of the American Revolution in Washington, D.C. Stephen?
We got a lot more coming up on our show here. Rick Perry could be meeting with the president. Coming up next week, we'll be talking about that. Plus, should Romney run for president? Should Romney run for president? That's our question of the day. Send us your thoughts at The American Edge. We'll be back, 710 Keel.
Live on News Radio 710 Keel. You're listening to America on the Edge. America on the Edge, brought to you by Premier Plumbing. For all your heating and cooling needs.
Citizens Bank and Trust, your mortgage specialists at 629-7800. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Have you ever thought, I wish I didn't have to search for the best price on printing or direct mail? Tired of trying to design your own material on some confusing website just to get to the end and it's not that professional look your business needs? Well, stop searching and call Graphic Industries. We've been waiting on your business, ready to help you with your printing and direct mail needs. Graphic Industries offers all types of print, stationery, brochures, flyers, catalogs, door hangers, books, pocket folders, postcards, variable printed letters, and much, much more. Graphic Industries can direct mail for you, too. You can customize a mailing list, target a certain demographic, or just flood the market and get your name in the homes of thousands of potential clients. Lowest prices, best quality, and a faster turn time. Visit us online at graphicindustries.net or call us today at 318-222-1100. Graphic Industries, the #1 choice of printing and direct mail.
If you owe money on your student loans, then you may qualify to have your entire student loan wiped out with one free call. You heard correctly. If you're a teacher, nurse, work for a nonprofit, or are in public service, then new federal programs are available to have your entire student loan forgiven. But you need to call a trusted source. The Coalition for Student Loan Relief is backed by a law firm, so you know your loan forgiveness paperwork is filed correctly and that you'll get the maximum loan forgiveness available. Find out in the first free call what you qualify for. A loan forgiveness specialist is standing by to answer all of your questions for free. Log on to getrelieftoday.org. That's getrelieftoday.org. Or call 800-239-0011. That's 800-239-0011. Completely wipe out your federal student loan debt and enjoy financial freedom. Call now. 800-239-0011. That's 800-239-0011.
It's the most advanced technology available. Engineered with over 200 million sensory receptors. Its all-terrain design is beautifully formed, weather-resistant, reliable, astonishingly high performance in even the most challenging of circumstances. And it is also the finest search technology in the world. There's nothing else quite like a search dog. Be part of the search. Go to searchdogfoundation.org to see how you can help.
The Keel Business Partner of the Day. We announce it each day during Rush at 12:30. And you log on to 710keel.com and get signed up as a VIP to start earning points. From News Radio 710 Keel. Live on News Radio 710 Keel. You're listening to America on the Edge.
Little Stevie Ray Vaughan there. Seemingly apropos for this next segment, since we're talking about Texas, and there's a statue of Stevie Ray in downtown Austin right along the Rivertown Lake there. This is America on the Edge with CL Bryant. I am Stephen Parr. CL is gallivanting across the country as he is apt to do. CL's often asked to speak to colleges and political and even religious groups across the country. It's one of the things that makes this show unique is that CL, you just never know where CL is going to be. Today, CL is in Washington, D.C. at the Daughters of the American Revolution Constitution Hall in our nation's capital, and he is asked to speak tonight at the Celebrate America revival going on. And that's actually going on in just a few minutes. Are you nervous, CL? You nervous about that?
You know, Stephen, it is always good to be here with people of like mind who love the country. And right now, I'm just sort of getting into my zone and asking the Lord's blessing on whatever it is that I may say to the crowd, that it may be of effect. And as our pastor always says, Pastor McMinnis always says, I'm just asking that the Lord will make my tongue the pen of a ready writer.
Well, we have some controversy going on back here in Texas, as I was mentioning with the Stevie Ray Vaughan song. And Governor Perry is, I think it's safe to say, not a fan of President Barack Obama, and perhaps the other way around as well.
That is safe to say, brother.
Yeah, and Perry has been certainly a big critic of the immigration problems going on. And this weekend, Perry wrote to the president, and because the president's coming to Texas next week, he's coming to a couple of fundraisers, one in Dallas, one in Austin. And the president said, hey, Rick, I'll meet you on the runway there at Bergstrom Air Force Base in Austin if you'd like to shake hands. And the governor wrote back to the president and said, you know what? Shaking hands on the tarmac is not going to lead to a thoughtful discussion about the immigration issue. CL, what do you think about that? The governor says, I don't want to shake your hand on the tarmac.
I think the governor is absolutely right, Stephen. Listen, the president of the United States should meet with the governor of Texas in private, eye to eye, so they can talk about the number one problem that of our security on that border privately. He doesn't need to be a part of some round table, not the governor of Texas, not Rick Perry. he needs to talk to the president. But you know what I think the problem is? The president won't go to that border because he doesn't want to own that problem. He wants to say that somehow this was George Bush's fault and all of that, and we as Americans are sick of it.
Actually, CL, you've hit on two different things that I want to get to, because you're right on both points. After the governor wrote back to the president saying, I don't want to meet you on the tarmac, I want to have a substantive discussion, Valerie Jarrett, who I'm also pretty sure that Perry is not a fan of, but Valerie Jarrett wrote back to the governor and said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you meet us for a roundtable discussion with some community and some religious leaders in Dallas? And the governor has accepted that. But you said this should be an eye-to-eye meeting, not a roundtable meeting. I tend to agree with you. I think that when you have a committee, not much gets done. There's an old bumper sticker that said, a camel is a racehorse designed by a committee.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, Stephen, let me ask you this, and to our audience out there listening, folks, who is Valerie Jarrett? I mean, Valerie, is she really running this show? You always hear about her or Susan Rice or some other surrogate of this president. And that leads me to this question. Who has been running this country for the last 6 years? It certainly has not been Barack Hussein Obama. He has not been in charge. In fact, our country has been a ship adrift at sea, and we need to say so.
If you listen to some of the surrogates for the president, the person who's been running the country for the last 6 years is the ghost of George W. Bush. And that is one of the things that they're playing with this argument now. With this crisis on the border, there is a concerted effort to blame a law that was signed by Bush. By the way, a law that was passed by Pelosi's House of Representatives and Reed's Senate. It was signed by President Bush in January of 2008. And the law was designed so that if children, unaccompanied minors, came to the U.S., that they would get then a hearing. It was designed to try and cut down on human trafficking. This segment of the law, and it's just one small line that's in there, did change some of the rules. I personally think that
So it's Bush's fault, Stephen?
Yeah, I don't personally believe it's Bush's fault. But tell you what, listen to what Martha Raddatz said to Governor Rick Perry this weekend during an interview they did on Sunday.
Governor, this is about a law. This isn't necessarily about Border Patrol. This is about a law. You heard in Jim Avila's piece, they have to let these people into the country when they're from non-contiguous nations, when they're from Central America or South America. Should that law be changed?
The rule of law is that the Constitution requires the United States to secure the border, and we're not doing that. We haven't done it for years.
So here's the argument Martha Raddatz was saying, is that there's the law that once these accompanying minors get to the U.S., they then have to go through a hearing with HHS, Health and Human Services. What Rick Perry is saying is if you secure the border first, they never get to the U.S., and that law wouldn't kick in.
And Rick Perry is absolutely right. You know what? I'm thinking, Stephen, and I know that this is so, that Rick is gearing up to run for president. And I'm thinking, along with Mitt Romney, who, that's the question of the day, isn't it? Should Mitt run? I think it's going to be a battle between the two of them, and Mitt has almost an inside track because of this immigration issue. But what's bothering me is that they are referring back now to an obscure line and taking it out of context on something that President Bush said 8 years ago. This is terrible.
And it definitely is the talking point that's going around. As you hear more and more Democrats talking about this in the press, they refer to Bush's law that was signed in 2008, conveniently forgetting that it was passed by Pelosi's House and passed by Reed's Senate first. And it was essentially a reauthorization of a previous act, and this line was added to it. It wasn't added to it by George Bush. He definitely signed it. He wasn't the one who added it to the law.
Stephen, have they taken advantage, or let me say it like this: have they taken responsibility for anything? Has Barack Obama ever stepped up to the plate and said, like Harry Truman, a Democrat, the buck stops here? Is there anybody left in Washington who will take responsibility for the offices that we elect them to? Or are we dealing with a bunch of spineless jackals who just want to tear at the flesh of America?
Oh, but CL, it's not politically convenient to take responsibility for something you've done wrong. Why would you do that?
Politically convenient.
Yeah.
That's an awesome phrase, Stephen, because that's exactly where we're finding these guys hiding out, in the corner of political convenience.
Let me play one more clip here for you. We're running a little low on time this segment, but I want to play one more clip from the Martha Raddatz Rick Perry interview. Listen to how this kind of ended up.
Telling people not to come. He's telling them in ads not to come into the United States, not to leave their homes.
About 5 years too late would be my response to that. The president has sent powerful messages time after time by his policies, by nuances, that it is okay to come to the United States, and you can come across and you'll be accepted in open arms.
So, CL, the United States government now is running advertisements on billboards and radio and television in Central America saying, don't come to the United States. Don't put your children on buses with coyotes and send them to the U.S. What Rick Perry is saying is we should have changed that statement a while ago.
We should have. This is CL Bryant live from Washington, D.C. We will be back with my co-host, who's doing a fabulous job, Stephen Parr, in a minute.
This is America on the Edge on News Radio 710 Keel.
Planning your next staycation? You don't have to go far to get away from it all. Just 30 minutes south of Shreveport, in the historic village of Grand Cane, stands the Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast. This stately treasure was built in the mid-1800s, before the Civil War. The Cook Hill House is also the perfect place for weddings, receptions, parties, and showers. Call the Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast at 318-858-0800. 318-858-0800. Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast, Victorian elegance with country charm.
SB Magazine, North Louisiana's premier publication, is your source for local entertainment, home decor ideas, gardening information, fashion trends, and seasonal gift guides. Every month we take you behind the scenes at some of Shreveport-Bossier's most fun events in Eye on SB. And you'll find SB Magazine everywhere. But the best way to make sure you have the most current issue is to subscribe. It's just $16 for 12 months. Call Debbie today or go to our website, sbmag.net. SB Magazine, the pulse of Shreveport-Bossier.
Hello, this is Matt from One Planet Solar. As we reach the middle of the year, I wanted to take a minute to thank all the homeowners who have installed solar energy systems so far in 2014, making this our busiest year yet. I love getting phone calls from customers the month after installation, bragging about their low electric bills. It never gets old. I'm also here to remind folks that One Planet Solar is a full-service electrical business, with master electrician Lee Cruz anchoring our repair and service division. Lee has an excellent reputation and has been with our company since we opened almost 8 years ago. He takes care of all jobs, small or large. Don't forget that solar still has tax credits available that pay up to 80% of the cost of most systems. Why give that money to the government when you can use it to buy solar for your home? So what are you waiting for? Whether it's a solar system or miscellaneous electrical work around the house, One Planet Solar is the only choice in the Arklatex. Call 858-5000 to schedule your free quote. That's 858-5000.
Hi, I'm Elaine, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale College President Larry Arnn on the importance of the presidential oath of office.
Members of Congress and federal judges take an oath to the Constitution, but the Constitution prescribes the exact words of the oath only for the president. The American presidency was a new and powerful office created at the Constitutional Convention of 1787. Nothing like it existed in any other constitution in history. It was designed to allow certain virtues, decision, activity, secrecy, dispatch, things like that. And they were thought to be essential to executive power, especially in a crisis. But despite this immense power, the president is not so powerful as the Constitution itself. That is why presidents must pledge to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, and why it is the duty of the people to ensure that they do so.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
This is America on the Edge on News Radio 710 Keel.
Welcome back to America on the Edge with CL Bryant. I am Stephen Parr, and if you want to advertise on the show, you can send us an email at ad@americaontheedge.com, ad@americaontheedge.com, and help us spread the word. CL, you are spreading the word in our nation's capital at the Celebrate America Revival tonight, coming up in just a few minutes.
Yes, sir. That is absolutely right. And, Stephen, I want to remind our audience that, hey, we want to bring you the very best guest from around America, even around the world. In our lineup coming up for you in days, weeks, months to come will be people like Dennis Miller, Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity. I'm even attempting to get a hold of an acquaintance of mine, the former president of Poland, Lech Walesa, to have us on. We'll talk to Lech through his interpreter, even though I know for a fact that he speaks good English. But just the same, we want to thank you for joining us here at America on the Edge, where you'll not live on the edge, you'll have the edge, with myself and Stephen Parr.
CL, we got a lot of things to talk about in this block, kind of a hodgepodge of issues. First one, some breaking news. Cleveland, the city of Cleveland, has been picked as the GOP convention site for 2016. Cleveland and Dallas were the final two candidate cities, and GOP picked Cleveland. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, Cleveland has been called the armpit of the country. I personally like Cleveland, and I have very good friends up there. In fact, Glenn Beck and I did a free pack event in Cleveland. We drew about 6,000 people up there. I can't wait to do a broadcast from one of those, Stevens. It will be an event. But I think that we need Ohio.
Yep.
And so in doing that, especially if Perry or Romney are in the race, being a Southerner, Perry will certainly need the state. I think Romney will probably do better up there.
Ohio is certainly critical. No Republican has ever won the presidency without winning Ohio. And Republicans have traditionally had a problem with the cool factor. And, you know, you have your convention just across the street from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's got to up your cool factor something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot of cool in Cleveland. And, in fact, the Cleveland Browns, just to flip the switch a little bit, has gotten Johnny Football up there. So there might be some excitement going on in Cleveland other than the RNC.
Well, that's interesting because Johnny Football played football in college at Texas A&M, which is Rick Perry's alma mater.
Absolutely. So Cleveland may be getting a lot of visits from former Texans down this way. But, you know, looking at it going forward, I believe there's going to be great momentum going into the convention. I believe Hillary Clinton is going to be in huge trouble. And for the first time, I don't see anyone on the Democrat Party horizon who could step in and bring the type of momentum that Hillary could bring. Republicans might cautiously be optimistic.
Let's talk about a friend of yours, Dinesh D'Souza. You guys had movies out about the same time, and they're kind of similar, talking about some of the same things. He has a new book out called America, What Would the World Look Like Without Her? And the store Costco had pulled his book from the shelves, and there was a massive backlash from conservatives. Well, there's breaking news on this as well. Costco has announced it is reordering the book. Let me quote something that they posted on their Facebook page. This is what they said. The decision to pull the book was made on July 1st. The decision was based solely on the number of copies sold during that month, had nothing to do with the content of the book. Costco is not a bookstore. Our bookshelf is very limited. We exercise discipline in the best utilization of that limited space. They decided to put it back on because of his movie coming out, which you've seen.
Yeah.
What do you think about Costco pulling the book and putting it back on the shelves?
Costco, they were crazy for doing that. Let me tell you something. There's going to be huge backlash to anyone trying to hone in on our First Amendment rights at this time. I went to see that film last night, and let me tell you, every American ought to go and see America. It is a story that our children from the age of 5 up to 15, every one of them ought to see this film. It dispels what the progressive liberals have been trying to sell us here in America, that America is the bad guy and that America is responsible for the evil in the world and all of that. And it's amazing that a man who would try to dispel those things is under attack from not only the government but other Americans. It's appalling, Stephen. And here in just a minute, I just need to tell the folks I'm going to have to go and join our colleagues on stage. I'm up in about 5 minutes, and I want all of you, I want to thank all of you for joining us here today. I'll be with you again tomorrow live in the studio, sharing some part of my trip, give you an idea of where I might be headed next. And Stephen, take us out. God bless and keep every one of you. God bless America. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, CL, and I know you're going to do great up there, and I'm sure you're going to make America on the Edge proud with your message to the folks there in Washington, D.C. tonight. Coming up, we are talking about the Republicans running for president. That's going to be coming up right after the break, and our question for the day today is Mitt Romney. Should Mitt Romney run for the GOP nomination for president? Is 3 times a charm? And we're asking that question. You can answer us on our Facebook page. That's Facebook/America on the Edge. You can also hit us on our Twitter feed at The American Edge with your answer to that. One other bit of news, Germany. By the way, if you're a World Cup fan, you don't know the results, go ahead and turn your radio off right now and then turn it back on in just a minute. But Germany absolutely crushed Brazil in the World Cup earlier today, 7-1, and we have a tweet from one of my favorite Twitter handles out there, Vladster Putin. Vladster Putin said on Twitter today that Germany stepped on the gas against Brazil. By the way, all of Germany's gas comes from Russia. Just putting it out there. We'll be back with more America on the Edge coming up next.
This is America on the Edge with CL Bryant and Steve Parr on News Radio 710 Keel.
If you haven't yet, go to our website, AmericaOnTheEdge.com. It's different than most websites out there, and that's because it's not a website, it's our nation, created by Logic Nation. As we're launching this new kind of radio show, we decided to partner with a new kind of internet company. Logic Nation gives us a new way to interact with you through your existing social media platforms. We've got Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all in one place, which makes it easy. Too much of the time, social media becomes a place where we bicker and fight rather than listen and learn. Logic Nation gives us the ability to start a new conversation on air and online. So now when you go to our Nation page and start a conversation with CL or with me, we can stay focused on that discussion without getting distracted. It's going to change things, and I believe for the better. Logic Nation has an app to make it easier to browse content on your mobile devices. You can download that for free today. If you have a business that needs to reach your customers in a new interactive way, you should give Logic Nation a try.
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he hated me and slammed the door in my face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems can turn the child you love and your life into a nightmare. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the step-by-step program that shows you how to fix the worst behavior problems and get your child to respect and listen to you again. No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. You can keep it forever for free.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-800-642-8896. 1-800-642-8896. That's 1-800-642-8896. 1-800-642-8896.
Conserving water is mostly a matter of using good common sense. If there's a drip in your home, it can waste a lot of water. A leaky faucet can add from 20 to 40 gallons a day to your water bill. That's literally money going down the drain. Get leaky faucets fixed. The declining Sparta aquifer is our main water source in North Louisiana. Do your part for water conservation. Be Sparta smart. Make every drop count. This public service announcement is brought to you by this radio station, a member of the Sparta Media Network.
The home of Rush Limbaugh. Weekdays from 11 to 2 on News Radio 710 Keel.
These senators do not want to control immigration. They want to expand it. Wealth will be redistributed from the middle class to a new class of poor. But what we're actually doing is importing poverty in order to enhance big government.
Rush, right here on your news and weather station. News Radio 710 Keel. This is America on the Edge on News Radio 710 Keel.
Welcome back to America on the Edge with CL Bryant. I am Stephen Parr. CL is in Washington, D.C. right now at the Daughters of the American Revolution Constitution Hall talking to the Celebrate America Revival. He's been asked to be a guest speaker, and he has taken the stage to raucous applause just within the last 2 minutes here. So what we've been talking about on Twitter, you and I, is Mitt Romney. Should Mitt Romney run for president? Again, 3 times a charm is that. We've been getting some tweets back. By the way, if you want to answer the question, you can send the tweet to @TheAmericanEdge, or you can also respond on our Facebook page, Facebook.com/America on the Edge. Here are a couple of tweets that we got. @DayQueen. @DayQueen says, of course he should run so his wife can be first lady. 3 times a charm, yes. And by the way, I absolutely think Ann Romney would be a great first lady. CL has met her and talked to her and spent some time discussing politics with her in the past. And he personally believes that she would be a great first lady for the United States. Here's another tweet we got from @8gifts. @8gifts says, yes. Who else is there? I'm going to get to that in just a minute. There's several other people that could run, and there's a new Quinnipiac poll out about that. We'll get to that in just a second. And here's one more tweet. @FitKit. @FitKit. Only Lincoln ran as many times, and we know how well he did. Yes! Exclamation points. Okay, so there is a new Quinnipiac poll out, and just to go over this poll here, it was done for Republicans running for or expected to run for the GOP nomination. Leading the pack with 11% is Ron Paul, leading with Rand Paul, not Ron Paul, Rand Paul. It's essentially the same base, though. Has 11%. Bush, not George W., but Jeb, has 10%. Mike Huckabee has 10%. Chris Christie has 10% as well. So a 3-way tie there in second place. In third place, Paul Ryan, then Ted Cruz, each of those with 8%. Marco Rubio has 6%. Walker, 8%. Rick Perry, who we've heard some clips from earlier today, and we'll be meeting with the president coming up next week. Rick Perry has 3%. Rick Santorum has 2%. So if you combine 2 Ricks, you get up to 5%. That's still behind Walker. And Bobby Jindal from Louisiana, who we all know, has 1% right now. You know who's leading the whole pack? Don't know. Don't know has 20%. Who'd you vote for? Don't know. 20%. So almost twice what Rand Paul has at this point. Now, Mitt Romney was not included in this poll. Mitt Romney is asked not to be included in these polls. He said, I'm not running for president. However, there are rumblings, there are murmurs, there are thoughts going around, there are tingles going up legs. Let's talk about hardball. And Chris Matthews talking about Mitt this weekend. Listen to this.
I talk about it all the time lately. I think Mitt Romney, in his head, he looks at these polls that show him beating the president right now. If there were another election, there won't be, that he really wants to run for president again.
So Chris Matthews thinks that Mitt Romney's making a run. He thinks that's going to happen. Now, he was talking to Representative Jason Chaffetz from Utah. And, of course, Romney has connections back to Utah. He helped with the Olympics in Salt Lake City. Listen to what Jason Chaffetz says.
I think he actually is going to run for president. He probably doesn't want me to say that. 100 times he says he's not. But Mitt Romney has always accomplished what he set out to do. I think he's proven right on a lot of stuff. I happen to be in the camp that thinks that he's actually going to run, and I think he will be the next president of the United States.
Now, yes, he's right. Mitt Romney is saying, "Hey, I'm not running. I don't want the job. I'm not running." But today in Politico, there was an article, "The Case for Mitt Romney in 2016." This is by Emil Henry, and what he's saying is that Richard Nixon is a great example for Mitt Romney because Richard Nixon ran for president and lost against Kennedy, but he made the rebound and won later on. And he's saying that Romney could follow that same mold. I see a couple of flaws with that article, and you can read it at Politico. Emil Henry, The Case for Mitt Romney in 2016. One of the things that I see as a flaw in that argument is after Nixon lost to Kennedy, Nixon then won an election in California for governor, and that helped him rebuild the brand. Mitt Romney will not have time to win any other elections before he has to run for president again. Now, that doesn't mean that he couldn't win. It just means that there is a flaw in the analogy. And the other flaw is that there's so many other people in the race. I'm not sure that Nixon faced quite the same level of competition from other governors. Now, Rick Perry's another person who in the past said, hey, I'm not running, and then turn around to run. So it is possible that Romney could be playing some of those same notes there. One thing that does need to happen, and one of the things that we're working on this show, is trying to change the way that we debate within the party and outside of the party. There is a gentleman running for governor up in New Hampshire. Walt Havenstein's running for the Republican nomination for the governor up there. Listen to what he says about Tea Party members.
We got a lot of problems in this country. They've been, the tea baggers or whatever they are, they've been telling us that all summer long. All right? Isn't that who they are? I'm a little out of touch.
No, that's not who they are. It is not okay to call members of the Tea Party tea baggers. That is a derogatory slur. If you don't believe me, look it up on UrbanDictionary.com. But if we're going to have a debate in this country, it can't start by calling other people names. You got to stay on the issue. You got to stay on point and leave the derogatory name-calling stuff off. We'll be back. More America on the Edge.
This is America on the Edge with CL Bryant and Steve Parr on News Radio 710 Keel.
It's a Summer Sizzler Showcase. You could win a $1,500 gift card to any Louisiana Boardwalk store, including Bass Pro Shops. Brought to you by the outlets at the Louisiana Boardwalk. Visit 710keel.com for your chance to win.
If you're tired of getting nickel and dime for your company's marketing needs, GI Marketing Group can help. We're a new, evolved marketing company with no monthly fees or markups and with quicker response times. With GI Marketing Group, there is no outsourcing. We own the production facilities, everything from print, mail, video, digital, and web design. We do it all in-house. Call us today at 318-222-1100 to start saving time and money, or visit us online at gimarketinggroup.com.
You don't have to go far to get away from it all. Just 30 minutes south of Shreveport in the historic village of Grand Cane stands the Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast. This stately treasure was built in the mid-1800s, before the Civil War. Today, antiques and homemade quilts fill king and queen size suites. Rooms come fully furnished with private baths and free cable and Wi-Fi. Plus, you get a homemade country breakfast from Grand Cane Gourmet Jane Bryant included in your reservation. The Cook Hill House is the perfect place for weddings, receptions, parties, and showers, or when simply planning your next staycation. Call the Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast at 318-858-0800. 318-858-0800. That's 318-858-0800. Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast. Victorian elegance with country charm.
If the number on your thermostat is going up just as quickly as the temperature outside, your air conditioner may have a serious problem. Give the friendly folks over at Premier Heating and Cooling a call at 222-1980.
Luxury without limits at Jaguar of Shreveport. Online at jaguarofshreveport.net.
Keely was my baby sister. She loved pink. We were playing with her dolls. I found a gun in the drawer. It went off. I made Kaylee go away. I hate me.
An unlocked gun could be the death of your family. Please, lock up your gun. A message from the Ad Council and the National Crime Prevention Council. Visit unloadandlock.com.
Conserving water is mostly a matter of using good common sense. Your porcelain throne is notorious for its hidden leaks, stealing water 24/7. A leaky toilet can waste hundreds of gallons of water a day and go completely undetected. So check your toilet for wear and proper adjustment periodically. The declining Sparta aquifer is our main water source in North Louisiana. Do your part for water conservation. Be Sparta smart. Make every drop count. This public service announcement is brought to you by this radio station, a member of the Sparta Media Network.
America on the Edge, brought to you by Premier Plumbing. For all your heating and cooling needs. This is America on the Edge with CL Bryant and Steve Parr on News Radio 710 Keel.
Welcome back to America on the Edge with CL Bryant. I'm Stephen Parr. CL is in our nation's capital right now at the Celebrate America revival going on up at the Daughters of the American Revolution Constitutional Hall, and he is currently speaking to a live crowd up there. Hey, I've switched the tables. I have flipped the script. As of today, I'm now following the CIA. You would normally think it's the other way around. But this is on Twitter, so when you like somebody else, you want to see what they say, you follow the... So at CIA, I'm now following them. By the way, you can follow us at The American Edge and my personal Twitter at America on Par, at America on Par with 2 R's. Now following the CIA. And the reason I did it is because they're celebrating their Twitterversary. I didn't know there was such a thing, but apparently there is. They've been on Twitter for 1 month as of yesterday, and they've been celebrating, and they've been posting out some fun facts. Thought I'd read a couple to you. No, we don't know where Tupac is. That's one the CIA says. They also were in a little conversation with the Ellen Show, Ellen DeGeneres' show, at the Ellen Show. Said, sorry for not following you back, but if you visit us, maybe we can take a selfie. That's pretty good. And one more, they said, no, we don't know your password, so we can't send it to you. Sorry, not sorry, at Twitterversary. I like that the CIA has a sense of humor, and so I'm happy to follow them. I will not follow Homeland Security. That scares me. I'm gonna stay away from them. Again, you can follow us at The American Edge. We've been asking, should Mitt Romney run? So far, most of the responses we're getting are that Mitt Romney should indeed run. And again, he has not posted whether he would do that. One of the things we are sure of is that there are people out there who protect us every single day, every single night, here and afar. Yes, the CIA is part of that, but also men and women who wear the uniform. These are soldiers. I'm the son of a West Point graduate, a man who fought for our country in Vietnam, served again during Desert Storm, and I'm proud to be his son. And I'm proud to be friends with people who have served overseas. And I'm proud to be an American. I hope you are too. If you see a member of the armed services, they're at a restaurant, Why don't you step up and say, thank you for your service. Let me have this meal for you. Let me cover this for you today, because you've had us covered. Thanks for listening to America on the Edge. We'll be back in 23 hours right here on 710 Key.